You're 34. The mortgage just cleared. The second car payment too. And something inside you tightens. You open your banking app on the couch. Your wife is asleep next to you. The numbers look fine. They always look fine. But fine isn't what you thought 34 would feel like. There's a trap most married men walk into in their early 30s, and almost none of them see it happening in real time. It looks like responsibility. It feels like adulthood. It wears the costume of doing everything right. The house, the second income, the joint accounts, the shared goals, and underneath it, your financial life is quietly bleeding out. I want to name this trap clearly, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you can finally do something about it. The trap is called silent lifestyle creep inside a two-income marriage. It hides because both of you are working hard and both of you are technically contributing. On paper, you look like a financial success story. Two W-2s, a starter home, maybe a kid, maybe a dog, a 401k humming quietly in the background. But the math underneath that picture is doing something strange. Your income has doubled, but your savings rate has shrunk. You went from saving 15% on one income to saving maybe 8% on two. Nobody warned you that combining lives often combines spending faster than earnings. The first thing that creeps is the house. You stretched a little because you both work, because the rate looked manageable, because it felt safe. That extra $500 a month in mortgage feels small in isolation. But across 30 years, that's roughly $180,000 of opportunity cost. The second thing that creeps is the cars. Two adults working means two reliable vehicles, and reliable somehow turned into newer than you needed. A combined $900 a month in car payments looks normal in your zip code. Across a decade, that's over $100,000 not compounding for you. Then comes the soft creep, the subscriptions, the convenience meals, the curated home, the small luxuries that feel earned because you both work so hard. None of it feels reckless. That's the genius of the trap. There's no single villain purchase you can point to and regret. Here's what the creep really means underneath the surface. You're not buying things. You're buying proof that the marriage is succeeding. The upgraded couch, the better grill, the renovated bathroom, the family vacation that costs $4,000. Each one is a small ceremony, a way of saying we made it. And that ceremony is the addiction, not the stuff. The ceremony of feeling like you and your wife are climbing together. This is why the trap is so hard to break. It isn't greed. It's love wearing a credit card. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. By 38, most couples in this pattern have stopped really looking at the numbers together. There's a check-in early in the marriage, sometimes a budget, sometimes a shared spreadsheet. Then life accelerates, and that habit quietly dies. You assume she's tracking it. She assumes you are. Both of you are watching the inflow and ignoring the outflow. And the average household in this exact demographic is sitting on something like $60,000 to $90,000 in retirement savings at 35, which sounds like a lot until you do the projection. At a normal growth rate, $80,000 at 35 becomes roughly $400,000 at 65 if you never add another dollar. That is not retirement. That is 2 years of expenses gone. The healthy version of this stage looks different. It doesn't look richer, it looks quieter. The healthy couple isn't spending less because they're suffering. They're spending less because they decided what enough looks like on purpose together. They picked a house payment that's 20% of take-home, not 30%. They drive cars 2 or 3 years past the point their neighbors would have traded them in. They protect a savings rate of 20% through the chaos of young kids and growing careers. And they revisit the number together, out loud, every quarter. That last part is the secret nobody talks about. The number isn't the issue. The conversation about the number is the issue. Let me pause here for a second, because this is the part that matters. If you're watching this and a knot just tightened in your stomach, I want to hear from you. Not the polished version, the honest one. When was the last time you and your partner sat down with no distractions and actually looked at your full financial picture together? Not the bills, the whole thing. Drop a comment and tell me where you're at. Maybe you've been avoiding it for 2 years. Maybe you do it every month. Maybe you don't even know how to start. Your comment might be the exact thing another guy needs to read tonight to finally have that conversation with his wife tomorrow. We're all quietly carrying versions of the same weight. And if you're in the camp of, we haven't talked about it in a while, you're not behind. You're just on the same road most couples in their 30s are on. The road just has an exit, and most people miss it. Here's the exit. Most men in their 30s think the answer is to earn more. That's the obvious move, and it's also the trap inside the trap. Because earning more without renegotiating the lifestyle agreement just gives the creep more fuel. A raise becomes a kitchen remodel. A bonus becomes a bigger vacation. The actual move is to freeze the lifestyle at its current level for the next 3 to 5 years. Not cut it, freeze it. Every raise after that goes to one of 3 places: retirement contributions, taxable brokerage, or paying down the mortgage principal early. If you and your wife froze your lifestyle today and redirected every future raise for 5 years, you'd likely add somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 to your net worth by 40. That's not a hack. That's just compounding meeting discipline at the only window of life where both are still possible without sacrifice. Now here's the nuance most people miss. The trap isn't really about money. It's about identity. When you're 34 and married, your sense of self is wrapped up in being a provider, a partner, and a peer to other men your age. The lifestyle creep feeds all 3 identities at once. The house tells the world you're a provider. The shared upgrades tell your wife you're a partner. The lifestyle keeps you visible among your peers. To unwind the trap, you have to be willing to look slightly less successful than you actually are. That sounds simple. It is brutally hard. You'll watch friends move into bigger houses. You'll watch coworkers post vacations you could afford but chose not to take. You'll have to make peace with quiet wealth instead of visible wealth. And the men who do this in their 30s are the ones who, at 50, look around and realize they're not anxious about retirement anymore. They're not refreshing their 401k balance with a knot in their throat. They're the guys who can absorb a layoff, who can say yes to a sabbatical, who can quietly help their adult kids without it derailing their own future. That's the actual prize, not a number, a nervous system that doesn't flinch when the market drops 20%. So here's the work, and it's smaller than you think. This weekend, sit down with your wife for 45 minutes. No phones, no kids in the room. Pull up every account: checking, savings, retirement, brokerage, debts, the mortgage. Put one number at the bottom. Net worth, today's snapshot. Then ask each other one question. If we kept living exactly the way we live now, where does this number end up in 10 years? You don't need a financial planner for that conversation. You need 45 minutes and the courage to look. Most couples never have that conversation. The ones who do, on average, end up with double the net worth of the ones who don't over the following decade. Not because they earn more, because they stop leading silently, because the trap can't survive being looked at directly. If any of this hits something real for you tonight, do me a favor and tap the like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to another guy in his 30s who needs it. If you're new here, this channel is where we talk about the money traps nobody warned you about. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell so the next one finds you. And drop a comment below telling me which part of this landed hardest. Was it the silent creep, the identity piece, the 45-minute conversation you've been avoiding? I read the comments. I take them seriously, and the patterns I see in them often become the next video. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for sitting with something uncomfortable instead of scrolling past it. That alone puts you ahead of most men your age. The fact that you watched this whole thing means you're already doing the inner work. The numbers will follow the awareness. They always do. Next, I want to take you somewhere harder. The specific retirement number most men in their 40s are quietly terrified they'll never hit, and the math that shows why it's closer than they think. Because once you see how the trap works at 34, you start to see how it compounds at 44. And that's the conversation we need to have next.